single dad helped an old man walking in the rain. The next day, he helped her save her job. The rain had no mercy that evening. It came down in sheets, cold and relentless, washing the city in silver streaks and blurring the lines between people, cars, and shadows. Most hurried past with heads down and hearts closed, desperate to reach warmth before the storm soaked through their bones. That was when a single dad, already carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, noticed an old man struggling to stay upright on the flooded sidewalk. One small decision in that storm would quietly set off a chain of events that neither of them could have imagined. And by the next day, someone else's entire future would be hanging by a fragile thread. Before the story unfolds any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing good even when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. The single dad's name was Adam, though to most people he was just another tired face on the late bus, another invisible worker clocking in and out without recognition. He was in his early 30s, but exhaustion had etched lines into his face that made him look older. Life had not been kind to him. 3 years earlier, his wife had passed away suddenly, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old daughter named Lily and a grief so heavy it often felt impossible to breathe. Since then, Adam had learned how to pack lunches at dawn, braid hair with clumsy fingers, and smile through the ache so his daughter would not see how broken he felt inside. That evening, Adam had just finished a double shift at a warehouse on the edge of town. The job paid barely enough to cover rent, utilities, and Lily's school needs, but it was all he could find after being laid off from his previous position. His body ached, his shoes were worn thin, and his thoughts were already racing ahead to the next morning when he would have to wake Lily, prepare her for school, and pretend once again that everything was going to be okay. As he walked toward the bus stop, the rain intensified. Water pooled around his ankles, and the wind pushed against him like an unseen force trying to knock him back. That was when he saw the old man. He stood near the curb, soaked to the skin, his thin coat offering little protection against the cold. His hands trembled as he leaned heavily on a cane, and every step looked like it might be his last. Adam hesitated. He was exhausted. He was late. He had his own problems, more than enough to justify looking away. But something in the old man's eyes stopped him. There was fear there, and pride too, the kind that keeps people from asking for help even when they desperately need it. Adam felt a familiar ache in his chest, the same ache he had felt the night he held his wife's hand in the hospital and realized how fragile life truly was. Without thinking too much, Adam stepped toward the old man. He offered his arm, steady and warm, shielding him slightly from the rain. Slowly, carefully, he helped the old man across the street and toward a small bus shelter. Water dripped from both of them, pooling at their feet, but for a moment the storm felt quieter. The old man's gratitude was silent yet overwhelming, written in the way his shoulders relaxed and his breathing steadied. Adam stayed with him until the bus arrived, making sure he was seated safely before stepping back into the rain himself. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic gestures, just one human being choosing not to walk past another. By the time Adam reached home, he was soaked through and shivering. Lily was already asleep, curled around her favorite stuffed toy. Adam watched her for a long moment, brushing damp hair from his forehead, wondering what kind of world she would grow up in. He did not know that the kindness he had shown that night would ripple outward, touching lives far beyond his own. The next morning began like most others. Adam woke before sunrise, prepared breakfast, and gently shook Lily awake. She complained about the cold and the early hour, but smiled when he packed an extra apple into her lunch. After walking her to school, Adam headed to his second job, a small administrative position at a struggling logistics company. It was not much, but it was steadier than the warehouse work, and he hoped it might eventually lead to something better. The atmosphere at the office was tense that day. Whispers filled the hallways and worried expressions passed from desk to desk. The company had been under review for weeks and rumors of layoffs had become impossible to ignore. At the center of it all was Maria, Adam's direct supervisor. She was a hard-working woman in her 40s who had fought her way up from an entry-level position. Adam respected her deeply. She had given him a chance when others would not, understanding his need for flexible hours as a single parent. That morning, Maria looked pale and shaken. Papers were spread across her desk and her hands trembled as she sorted through them. An internal audit had flagged her department for alleged mismanagement, accusations that could cost her not only her job but her reputation. Adam could see the fear in her eyes, the same fear he had seen in the old man the night before. By midday, the situation worsened. Senior management arrived unexpectedly, and Maria was called into a closed-door meeting. Adam sat at his desk, heart pounding, knowing that if Maria lost her job, his own position would likely disappear with her. He thought of Lily, of rent due in 2 weeks, of how thin the line was between stability and disaster. Then something strange happened. An unfamiliar figure entered the office, moving slowly but with quiet confidence. It was the old man from the rain. He looked different now, clean, composed, his posture straighter. For a moment, Adam wondered if exhaustion was playing tricks on his mind. But there was no doubt, it was him. The old man spoke with management privately. Adam could not hear what was said, but he watched as expressions shifted from skepticism to surprise and then to concern. Files were pulled. Phone calls were made. The tense air in the office changed, becoming heavy with anticipation. It turned out the old man was not just any passerby. He was a retired compliance officer who had once worked closely with the company's senior partners. When he saw Maria's name mentioned in a public report earlier that week, he recognized inconsistencies that did not add up. After Adam had helped him the night before, the old man said he could not stop thinking about the quiet dignity in that simple act. It reminded him that doing the right thing mattered, even when it was inconvenient. Using his experience and connections, the old man reviewed the audit findings and uncovered the truth. The mismanagement accusations were misplaced, the result of errors made higher up the chain. Maria had been unfairly targeted as a scapegoat. By the end of the day, the outcome was clear. Maria's job was saved. The investigation was redirected. Apologies were issued, though quietly, and the threat of layoffs in her department was lifted. Adam watched as Maria emerged from the meeting, tears streaming down her face, not of fear this time, but of relief. She thanked the old man with trembling hands, unaware of the bond already formed between him and the quiet employee sitting just a few desks away. Later, as the office emptied, the old man approached Adam. Their eyes met, and in that moment, both understood the strange, beautiful symmetry of what had happened. The kindness offered in the rain had returned, multiplied, and perfectly timed. In the weeks that followed, Adam's life began to change in subtle but profound ways. Maria, deeply aware of how close everything had come to falling apart, advocated for Adam's promotion. His hours stabilized. His pay increased slightly, enough to ease the constant knot of anxiety in his chest. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to imagine a future that was not defined solely by survival. At home, Lily noticed the difference. Adam laughed more. He slept better. On weekends, he took her to the park without constantly checking his phone for work messages. The weight he carried did not disappear, but it became lighter, shared in a way he had not thought possible. The old man remained a quiet presence in Adam's life. They met occasionally for coffee, exchanging stories not through dramatic conversations but through shared understanding. Both knew what it meant to be overlooked, to feel one step away from falling through the cracks. Both knew that sometimes the smallest acts could change everything. As this story nears its end, take a moment to reflect. If this journey of kindness, struggle, and unexpected grace has touched your heart, please show your support by liking this video, sharing it with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement keeps these stories alive. And before the final moments, here is a special request. Please comment below and tell us where you are watching from. or share a moment when kindness changed your life. Your words might inspire someone who needs hope today. On a quiet evening months later, Adam stood by his window watching rain fall gently onto the streets below. Lily slept peacefully in her room, her laughter echoing faintly in his memory. The world had not become perfect. Challenges still waited around corners, but Adam understood something now that he had not before. Kindness was not wasted. It was never lost. It traveled, it grew, and it returned when it was needed most. And somewhere in the city, an old man walked a little steadier. A woman kept her job with dignity intact, and a single dad learned that even in the heaviest storms, one small act of compassion could light the way forward.